This is the Reluctant Leader podcast, created because, through no fault of your own, you've become one. I'm your host, Mark Terrell, and I know how it feels when you're getting ground down by people issues, constantly firefighting and wondering how on earth you ended up here. In each episode, I invite a guest to discuss a topic and give you 3, sometimes more, top tips that will help you in your leadership role. They are experts in the field, and you'll find out why they do what they do and what took them down that path. For more resources to help you on your leadership journey, check out thereluctantleader.academy, where you'll find details of how to join the Reluctant Leader Success Path. So let's see who's in the hot seat this week. Today I'm talking to Sharon Gaskin. Sharon is the founder of the Trainers Training Company, established in 2009 to help freelance trainers start up, grow and develop successful and profitable training businesses. Since then, she's worked with hundreds of freelance trainers to help them get started or to make their existing businesses much more profitable. Services include one-to-one mentoring, online training programs, and a done-for-you lead service to help you get associate work. She's also the proud creator and leader of Trainer Talk, a thriving business community for freelance trainers. I hope you enjoy this chat we had about memberships, and I'll catch you all on the other side. Sharon, welcome to the Reluctant Leader podcast.
Hello, Mark. Really excited to be here.
I'm excited that you're here. We've had this in the diary for some time, so can't wait to get stuck into the topic. But before we get stuck into that, I always ask all my guests, why do you do what you do? And what was that pivotal moment that took you down that path?
Ooh, why do I do what I do? Well, firstly, because I love it. I suppose everybody does come on and say that. But my pivotal moment was to do with my little boy then. He was 9 at the time and he's now 20. And basically, what happened was I had my own training business that was all going along really, really well. And then what happened, a couple of things. One, I was sort of being asked by various trainers in my network, how do you get to be a freelance trainer? You're really good at it and you've got loads of clients, so how do I get started? And that was kind of going along in the back of my mind. And while I was sort of doing this, I decided that I would go away and write a book. It was an ebook, still on the website, How to Launch a Training Business in 30 Days, in which I poured everything that I knew about how to be a freelance trainer and how to be a successful one. And then what happened, I stuck it on a website, on a one-page website, and didn't do anything with it because I wasn't sure whether anybody would really be that interested or indeed whether I could make any money from it. And that went on for about 6 months or so. And then my son, Ryan, who I said was 9 at the time, he was playing a lot of tennis and he was really good, still is. And the LTA got involved and said, oh, really, he needs to go up to the High Performance Centre at Edgbaston. So I said, oh, okay, that's great. We'll do that. And then I thought, oh, I need to pick him up from school every day at 12:30 and stay with him all afternoon and all evening, etc., etc. So I can't really be running my workshops around the country anymore. So perhaps I need to reinvent myself and work more from home and, from the internet. And round about 2009 was exactly the right time because then, everything was just getting started with online stuff and email marketing, all that kind of stuff. And so then I thought, oh, okay, I've got this website thing that I'm not doing anything with. Maybe I should do something with that. So that's what I did. So I closed my training business down. I gave a name to my one-page website, the Trainers Training Company, and dedicated myself to that business, which is helping freelance trainers to create successful businesses. And and that was it.
So it was all about tennis that took you down this. Yeah. I don't know whether I shared this with you, but actually I play a bit of tennis. I think you know that. But I went for a trial to become a line judge once. Yeah. And the reason being, I took quite fancied being to Wimbledon to do the line and thought that'd be quite an easy thing to do. It turns out it's not that easy because I failed. And I didn't get taken on to do the training. Anyway, that's just reminded me of that, which has got no relevance to what we're talking about today, but I thought I'd just share that with you. Right. So we are talking about today memberships, and you've talked a little bit already about your business and why you set it up. So we are going to be talking about a model which we call memberships. So do you want to just talk about what a membership site is roughly, and then we can expand on it from there?
Yeah, well, a membership, you say membership site, but my particular membership is more than a membership site. It's a membership community, and really what it is, it's a business model whereby people, your members, pay you a recurring fee every month or every year, and we love it, don't we, Mark?
We certainly do. Yes.
because of that, because it's one, because of the recurring income model, because as anybody knows, if you're constantly just sort of selling time for money, and also you never know where you're going to be from one month to the next, depending on the clients that you have. So a recurring income model gives you that degree of stability, so that you know that you've got a certain income depending on the number of members that you've got coming in every month. So that's great. And it's also a really good way of providing a lot of value for people, for large numbers of people, at a fairly low cost, compared to some of the other services, that you could provide, like mentoring or coaching or whatever, or a training program that people couldn't necessarily afford or want to invest in. So it's great for that. And the good thing, and really one of the main benefits for me as a business owner, I don't know about you, and one of the things I love about my membership, why it gives me so much joy, is the relationships that you get to build up with your members, which is fantastic. And you're a member yourself of my Trainer Talk community, so you know what great people we have in there. Yeah. But also I love the relationships that my members build up with each other. It's fantastic, great to see that happen.
Yeah. And I think it's worth just dwelling a little bit on the challenges of being a trainer, a freelance trainer. And you sort of touched on them already, that, about the money thing, that you are, it's this roller coaster of money coming in. 1 minute you've got lots of money coming in, then you deliver, and then it's not coming in because you've been working, you haven't been marketing. So that's one of the biggest challenges in that market, I know. And what other challenges are quite common do you come across?
Well, I think you kind of touched on it there in a roundabout way, is that, in my opinion, most freelance trainers, they only do marketing when they haven't got any work, which is one of the things that I bang on about all the time in the programs that I do, because it's an absolute fundamental that, not just of, freelance training business, but any business, you have to be marketing all the time. You've got to be consistent, because if you're not, then that's what happens. You have these peaks and troughs. And anybody who says to me that, you know what it's like, it's feast and famine and all the rest of it, and I look at them and go, yeah, but I don't believe in that, because if you've got feast and famine, it's of your own making, because you haven't been marketing consistently. But it is funny, although I guess at the sort of intellectual level, most people know that, but getting them to do it is another matter.
Yes, the big M thing, marketing. It's oh gosh, really? Yeah. Do I have to do that?
Yeah, well, yeah, you do. You've got a business. You and I both.
Absolutely, but I'm guessing also that people do suffer when they go freelance, in that they feel a bit isolated and a bit like they're on their own. Whereas obviously that's one of the things that you offer, is that you bring people together, like-minded people that can actually help and support and even work together, I guess, at some point as well.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I would say, they are probably the two biggest challenges. One is the marketing, because most people don't know how to do marketing, or indeed want to do it. And why should they? Most people have come out from the corporate world and gone straight into, running this training business, why should they be expected to know about marketing? Because when they were in their jobs, they had other people to do it for them. Marketing departments, sales departments. You were just the training department. So why should you know how to do it? Yeah. So that's the biggest challenge. One of the biggest challenges, and the second one is as you said there, Mark, is the loneliness and isolation that you feel. And I think most trainers and coaches are pretty sort of gregarious people and like to be surrounded by people, and they miss that when they suddenly go off on their own, and it's not the same talking to friends and your family, because sometimes they don't understand. So that was one of my key drivers behind creating Trainer Talk. I wanted to create this network or community of like-minded people where people absolutely got it, and they got it and they understood, and they shared each other's issues, and they talked each other's language, and that's what I did.
Yeah. And I can definitely say that when you are in a room full of trainers, there is definitely a lot of energy, a very a sense of positivity. You can't help it, because everybody's there for one, because they want to help and they want to train and help and improve people. So there is that vibe in the room which just emanates around, isn't it? I mean, it's almost addictive, and that's obviously what I get from Trainer Talk Live, is that it's that environment where people are coming together to share all sorts of things, but ultimately they have got the same sort of vision and mentality.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're very noisy, aren't they? That's why I have to tell Mark.
Yes.
I nearly forgot it on Friday, didn't I?
You did. You always left it there. Well, heaven forbid. But yes, you have to keep order, because there's generally people are making most of the event, isn't it? And so that's one part of the membership, which touched on that. So you have some live events. How often do you have these live events?
So the Trainer Talk Live events are every quarter, as you know. So we run them 4 times a year. They are in March, May or June, September and December. And then we just recently started Trainer Talk Locals, which, as the name suggests, are in people's local areas. By the way, Trainer Talk Live is in Kenilworth in the Midlands. We have it in the centre of the country, obviously, to enable everybody from around the UK to get to it. But the locals are very much in your local area. They're shorter events. They're 2 hours, so they're just a couple of hours in the morning. So they're kind of mini versions of Trainer Talk Live, and just to enable people to just come together, have a cup of coffee, have a chat about the issues they're all fairly common amongst the freelance trainer community.
Yeah, and I guess if you've got people that are local to you, having those connections and having people local, it's obviously you can maybe meet up more often than people maybe that have come from all over the country, which is an extra benefit. Yeah. So that's the live event. So what about other things that the membership offers? How much? What does that entail?
Yeah, so we have those live events, the Trainer Talk Live, the Trainer Talk Locals. And then I also run a couple of online events every month. So we get together on Zoom. The first one we have is what we call the Business Development Clinic. And this is really for people to bring their specific business challenges to the group, just like they do in the afternoon at Trainer Talk Live. So, we've all got challenges in our business, and it's just really nice, instead of sitting there at home on your own trying to work it out, being able to just hop onto a Zoom call and just, share it with people who understand and get ideas. So that's the first one. And the second one is the Spotlight session. Again, it's an online session we run on Zoom. And as the name suggests, we focus on a particular topic each month. So some of the ones we've done over the past year, that we've done things like email marketing. What else have we done? Profiling tools, which I know you were a great contributor to. We've talked about getting appointments by phone. We've looked at networking. We've looked at all sorts of things that are basically typical topics that are going to help anybody running their own training business.
Yeah, so you're helping with the challenges for trainers. So let's flip it a little bit to your challenges. So you're leading this membership model. So we've explained what that is. Hopefully people are listening to this understand what we're talking about here, a monthly subscription for a service. So what sort of challenges do you have of leading that sort of organisation, that sort of model?
Well, I'll tell you a little story first, if that's helpful, about why I started the membership in the first place, because it wasn't a membership to begin with. Trainer Talk was just a one-day event. It was Trainer Talk Live, as we still have. But I just used to run these events ad hoc. And then as they got more and more popular, I decided to run them every quarter. But at that stage, people were still, just coming ad hoc. And what would happen, Mark? People would come along to the event and really enjoy it and have a great day, but not come back. And that wasn't because they didn't enjoy the day. They clearly did. But it was because, they were very commitment phobic. They didn't want to, maybe sort of come back or book to come back because they had work on that particular day. And this was really, creating a massive challenge for me because, one, financially, because at that stage it was very much cheaper than it is now. And I actually did a review at the end of, I think it was 2014, when I actually sat down at the end of the year and thought, God, I wonder how much money I'm making out of these events. Because what was happening, the usual thing as trainers, we love it, don't we, when we have a day where, it's all, we get that real buzz and that real nice, warm, fuzzy feeling at the end of the day. Oh, it's great. Everybody's had a great time. And we tend to forget sometimes about the business side of it. So I peeked under the covers and, to my horror, discovered that for all this work that I'd done, I'd made like £1,200 for the year. And I just thought, oh my God, something changed. So that was, financially, that was one side of it. But the other side of it was the fact that a community wasn't really being created, because as well as I do that you cannot create a community without commitment from people. And at that stage, I wasn't getting the commitment because people were just not coming back. So I decided at the end of 2014 that I would, that's what I would do. I would turn it into a membership. And I was also quite prepared for, if I didn't get any members, I was going to say, okay, that's fine. There's going to be no more Trainer Talk, because I thought I can't keep doing this and not earning any money from it, much as I love it. So at the end of 2014, Trainer Talk Live in December, so the last day, one of the year, I stood up and I made a presentation. This is pre your days, Mark. And
I'm a newbie. Yeah.
And I said, okay, remember, we started Trainer Talk in 2010, and this is what we've done, and these are all the things that have been created, blah de blah de blah. But as from next year, things are going to change, and it's going to be a membership, and it's going to be this much, and you're going to have to join, and you don't have to join, but all this kind of stuff. And it was one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do in my business, and you could hear. I mean, it went down like a lead balloon, basically. And you could basically see everybody's faces going, oh, I'm not coming if I have to join as a member. And I was kind of like, oh, the price is going to go up. And I was standing there just wishing that this big hole would open up and swallow me. And then there was two little voices from the back of the room. And two people stood up. And those two people were Paul Harris and Kate Young, who obviously, you know and love. And they both stood up and they went, I'll join. And I was like, I love you. Thank you for saving me. And they were my first two members, and still are, obviously, and are now two of my ambassadors. And so it really, that was probably, your original question was about the biggest challenge, and that was probably my biggest challenge, was deciding to turn it into membership in the first place, because I just felt so strongly that I wanted to create this community, and I had this vision of how it could be, and it just wasn't working. And that was the pivotal point, because ever since then it's just got better and better and better, because it's that when people join a membership and when they turn up and they're committed to it, that's when the relationships are created. that's when the community is really created, and it just works, from there on. So you've got to have commitment. So
that's a brilliant story, because if in leadership terms, that's what it's about, isn't it? It's about actually doing something that is right, which feels a bit scary, but ultimately, this is what has to happen, even though, not maybe your perception is that most people in that room weren't going to be actually too enamored with this decision. But actually, what you need is just some people to say, actually, that's a good idea, and I think we should do it. It reminds me, there's a video I've seen that pops up now and again on Facebook and all other sort of stuff, where there's this people, I think it's like one of these sort of hippie events, where there's a band playing and there's people just sat there watching, and then all of a sudden there's one guy starts getting up and dancing, and he's just doing his thing, really wacky sort of dancing. Yeah. And then after a little while, somebody else then joins him. And then what happens then is somebody else joins, and then there's some more join. And before you know it, that one person is now joined with like 20, 30 people around them. Yeah. So it just shows that if you want to create something, someone's got to put a mark in the sand and say, right, this is what we're doing. Come and join me if you want to. But if you don't, it's fine. But, this is where we're going. And so, I feel how you must have felt that day. I can only imagine. But obviously, you look back fondly, because obviously, it was definitely the right decision, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it was. But as I say, I really didn't know. And I really, honestly and truly, I had decided. I thought, it's either this is the way it's going to go, or it's not, because I just can't, carry on like this. But fortunately it was. And since then it has been the continual, the people that come back again and again, they've just created relationships, they've created friendships, it's been brilliant. But having said that, we're still talking about challenges. It is, running a membership, growing a membership is fraught with challenges. And, I get a little bit upset sometimes when some of the things I see on the internet, or, that there are certain people about that just sort of create this myth that running a membership is easy. And it's great because just sit back and you'll have all this recurring income coming in, and it's the way to go, and all the rest of it. And it's just not true. You know that as well, don't you? So it's like, there are a number of inherent challenges. Now, I think the biggest challenge that I have in my particular market is commitment phobia, because I think there's something about the freelance trainer market. It's really hard to get people. One, it's hard to get people to come to events. Two, it's then even harder to get them to commit to anything beyond that one day, because they are so worried half the time of work coming in, and they never know when work is going to come in. And there is this mindset of, I'll just kind of pencil it in. But if but I won't book, because if work comes along, then I won't do it. And that is really, really challenging. I found that. But having said that, what I have found, and what I've kind of reconciled myself to it, is that it takes it's about attracting the right kind of person to your membership, isn't it? And I think it's almost like I don't really want those people. I'm not bothered about those people, because what the people I do want are people like yourselves, Mark, like you, Mark, and like, most of my other members who go, do you know what? This is actually important, and I'm going to put this in my diary. And if work comes up, I'll just say I'm not available, because, and they just ring fence those days, whether it be Trainer Talk Lives or the locals or some of the online events or whatever. And they just make a commitment. And I think, yes, and sometimes it's all about maybe not having as many members, but having the right members that can make the difference.
Yes, and it's that's so relevant, in that you want to attract people that are appreciative of the offer and then embrace it.
Yes.
I guess you don't really want to attract people that are what we call cherry pickers, the ones that put the best bits and don't really engage in the things that maybe are just as important, but they just don't recognize them as that. Cherry picking was something in my retail days was prevalent in that, people would join, again, sort of like a membership site, and that you joined a symbol group like, Spa and all those sort of things. That's basically what they are. But they'd only commit to what they saw as the best bits, and then they'll buy the things that weren't quite up to what they want. They'll buy them elsewhere. But actually, that just doesn't really strengthen the group. It just takes the strength away, and then it loses the impetus and the strength that bringing people together actually. The benefits of that. So it's sad when that happens, but it's quite prevalent in a lot of areas of business. But I feel your pain. So what's your strategy around bringing new members in? Because I'm sure, as with everything, we know people will leave for many reasons. So I guess you have to keep bringing new people in. What's that strategy? How does that work for you?
Well, I think there's a number of things that we do. I mean, when I first started, I didn't have a strategy. Let me tell you, it's kind of like, okay. Yeah. But I suppose I suppose looking at it now, the strategy are the live events. So Trainer Talk Live and Trainer Talk Local are really, people can come to those events as a non-member. Now, they can still come back, certainly for the Trainer Talk Lives, they can come back, but you'll pay more money on your second visit. So that often brings in new members. And with the Trainer Talk Local, I've made it so that people, and they are low cost, so they're only sort of £20 to attend, but they're only a couple of hours anyway. Tons of value. But if they want to come back again, they have to be a member. And that's actually been quite successful, really. And but I made the biggest mistake of obviously you and I have are we allowed to mention Tribe, that we both done the course?
Yeah, absolutely. So
you and I have both been doing that course in the summer, and I did that course. Obviously I've already got a membership, but I thought, it doesn't mean I know everything, far from it. So I wanted to sort of see what other things I could be doing. And obviously one of the things I learned was about, people have got to have a reason to join the membership. And obviously Stu talks about open models as opposed to closed models and the benefits of each. And, and I realised with the first number of Trainer Talk Locals that we ran in June had, attracted fair numbers, far more than I was expecting, to be honest, certainly the first two in Perth and Cambridge. And but nobody joined. And I was like thinking, and I thought, do you know what, Sharon, you've made the classic mistake here. You have to give it a reason. So, because you know what people will do, they go, oh, that was great. So, but here's but I'm not going to join till I need to, which may be the next Trainer Talk Local. Oh, but hang on, I can't do that one. So, maybe I'll go to the next one. Oh, I can't do that, and they keep putting it off. So I basically instigated like a very basic offer, almost to my mind a no-brainer. Okay, Trainer Talk online membership, £3, £10 a month. Join by Monday type of thing. And that did make the difference. Still not huge amounts, but certainly, getting, decent conversion rates. And the challenge obviously is going to be to keep them beyond the 3 months. And there will be some that stay and some that leave. But certainly it did prove that you've got to give people a reason to join.
I think it's worth go back to that closed and open scenario just to explain to the listeners what that's about. What's the difference between a closed and open membership?
Basically an open model is one like mine. So it's open all the time, so you can join anytime you like. And your closed model is basically where the membership is closed, and then you open it at certain points throughout the year, and then you give people a number of days where they can join, like 4 days or something like that, and it closes again and then it opens again. So obviously that the sort of scarcity model behind that.
And that's also for somebody that's maybe delivering a course, then that model might work better in that you can start it with a group of people, run them through it, and then okay, that's finished, look for the next group of people. So for that scenario, that it works really well, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I've completely forgotten about that, Mark. Thanks for reminding me. It's my other strategy that, again, I wasn't even really realising I was using. It's my course. So yeah, I run my own online program, 2 or 3 times a year. I did a almost like a sort of mini version of that in September. So I did how to launch a training business in 30 days for the month of September. And then I do my 6-week online program 2 or 3 times a year. And then people do join as a result of that, because they come on the course, they get to know, like, and trust me, all that kind of stuff. And then they go, oh, I want to carry on with this. And then they join Trainer Talk quite often.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you that, whether you still do some training. So it's pretty much all online now.
It's all online. Yeah, all online. I love it.
Yes. And so the obvious question there is technology. And I guess that's quite a vital part of what you do now in various aspects.
Yeah. I mean, it makes it so easy, doesn't it, Mark? It just so easy. I mean, to do all my, courses are all done, via Zoom and, in Facebook groups and all that kind of thing. My Trainer Talk community is run, within a Facebook group, although we did experiment with another platform and then came back. And it's just the technology these days to keep us all connected is just fabulous, isn't it, for anybody running a membership?
Yeah, technology is great, isn't it? When you understand how it works and how you can use it. I was talking yesterday to a group of 16, 18-year-olds, and last week I was told apparently that the next big thing, social media-wise, is something called TikTok. So I thought I'd just test the water and see. So I said, well, apparently Instagram and all that stuff is for oldies like me, but apparently your age group is all going to be on TikTok. And there was like uproar, like, oh, never, that's not going to happen. I was thinking, that's interesting. I was told that was the next big thing. So actually in that room, I know some people listen to think that I've just heard, like, what was that? Another platform? Oh my God. But yeah, that was my thought. So I thought I'd test it within this environment and see what happens. So who knows what TikTok's going to be, but I don't even want to go there at the moment. No. Technology, it's keeping up with it and actually embracing what's actually useful and making the most of it. Like, the Zooms and all that sort of stuff, which are really useful, and actually not getting too involved with stuff that really is not really useful. It can become a bit of a rabbit hole, can't it?
It can. I mean, you just need to use it for what you need to use it for, I mean, I love, I've always liked Facebook. I know not everybody likes Facebook, but for me, as I say, we've had an experiment moving somewhere else, but I just find it easier to be on Facebook because everybody is pretty much, and also the Facebook Lives are just so easy to do, aren't they? It's just so easy to pop in, just communicate with your members anytime you want to, which is great. And for them, communicate with us, if they want to do that as well.
Yeah, exactly. And not forgetting, obviously, the award ceremonies that you now conduct, which was worth sharing.
Everybody looks forward to excitedly every week on a Tuesday to see if they've won one.
Yes. Come on, tell us what that's about before we wrap things up, because we're running out of time, unfortunately.
Okay, well, that Trainer Talk Insider, as a result of the Tribe course, actually, we were talking about some retention strategies, and one of the strategies that we looked at was acknowledgement, and so I decided that, 2 strategies actually. One, communicating with your members more, and 2, acknowledgement. So I thought, I combine the 2. So I do a weekly roundup every week, Tuesday at 5:00. It's called Trainer Talk Insider, and it's run within our own Facebook group. And I basically pitch up and tell everybody what's been happening during the week, what's coming up, and then hand out some awards.
Yeah. And as obviously listeners have obviously found out, I'm part of your Trainer Talk network, and I know what everyone's thinking. I wonder if Mark's actually won any of awards yet. And sadly, to this point, not yet. I've not actually won an award, but who knows? I can only keep striving for that big moment where I'll recognise that something. I've no idea what it might be, but who knows? We'll see.
Well, I tell you, I'll let you into a sneak preview of something, because not only do we do the weekly ones, but at the last Trainer Talk Live of the year, I'm going to do some special annual ones. So
wow, okay, that's a bit of a teaser, isn't it?
I will give you real prizes, not just virtual ones. So
excellent.
there you go.
Well, there you go. There's a snip there from this podcast that nobody knew about until now.
Knows about that.
Yeah. Right. So as I mentioned, unfortunately, time is running away from us. And this is the point in the proceedings where I always ask my guests to leave us with 3 top tips. Oh, yeah, I know. I didn't. It was in the email. So, what would you think? So people have just been listening to what is a membership model. So what are your 3 top tips that if anyone was considering going down this route and leading a membership sort of organization, what would your top tips be for them to think about?
Oh, top tips. Let me just have a think about this. So my top tip would be to obviously sort of make sure that your membership is just for a niched area, so it's not a membership for everybody. It's got to be for a certain group of people who will look at your membership and see the fact that you've got like-minded people and think, oh yeah, I get it, this is for me. So that would be the first one. The second one would be to, what would I say? The second one would be, would just sort of price it affordably. Now, affordably doesn't mean cheap, but price it affordably, because remember the idea is to reach, give high value low cost, to give people both monthly options and annual options. And the third one I would say is just kind of be realistic, with the sort of level of income that you're going to get from your membership, certainly to begin with, and just concentrate on attracting, instead of trying to get tons and tons of people into your membership, concentrate on getting the right people. Because one of the things I've noticed, although my membership, I'll be honest, has been quite slow to grow over the years, once people are in, they do tend to stay. And I think that is far more important to me, than having a membership with thousands and thousands of people in, and then they're kind of leaving every month. So, get the right kind of people in your membership, because if you have the right kind of people in your membership, it's going to be a better community for everybody, and then people get more value, and then they stay longer. Yeah,
and I guess less hopefully less stress as well for you that's leading it, because they're pretty like-minded people, I guess. Yeah. And I'd just like to recognise that we spoke for about 35 minutes, and it took you 34 minutes to mention the niche word, which was which anybody that knows anything about Trainer Talk, it's something that comes up all the time, and you'll have to find out, if you want to find out more about what that is, then check out Trainer Talk and Trainer Talk Live, and the importance of that. So thank you, Sharon, for your time today. I've really enjoyed it. I hope you have too.
I have. It's been great. Thank you for having me, Mark.
And I will hopefully see you in real life very soon.
Yeah, take care.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to check out thereluctantleader.academy. And if you get a chance, please leave a review on whichever platform you have been listening. And also share the love by sharing the episode with someone who would benefit. Leadership is a choice. If you have the right mindset, know the process to follow, and the key skills to use at each point in the process, you have everything you need to leave a lasting legacy. Don't forget to put into action anything that has struck a chord in this episode. And until next time, be the best you can be.